This is Remembering Smallville,
a Smallville rewatch podcast. I'm Daniel.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Kim.
and I'm Brett.
So I have a little question for you all before we get into our episode today. What nicknames did you go by when you were younger?
We had weird ones. So my sister's name's Jennifer, and we call her Fur or Furfy still to this day. I've never called her Jennifer or Jen in my life.
That's funny. Fur.
No, I was introduced to her. This is my sister Fur.
Yeah.
She's in my phone as Fur.
F-E-R. Yep.
My uncle, we call him Fust. His name's Justin.
Fust?
Fust. F-U-S-T. My Uncle Fust. Literally.
Like Uncle Fester.
I've been calling him Fust my entire life.
That's crazy.
And my other uncle, so growing up, they were, Justin was Fust and Jason was Face. But that didn't stick. So he's still Uncle Jason.
Only Fust.
But Uncle Fust. Still to this day, Fust and Mandy. Those are my aunt and uncle. Fust and Mandy. So we call them. I've been calling them that for 35 years, and I'll call them that at his funeral. I'll say, Uncle Fust. See you later.
That's so cute. Like, my daughters call my sister Aunt Fur or Aunt Furfy. Mm-hmm. I also have another sister, and her name is Angela, and we call her Banj.
Love it.
Or Banji. Mm-hmm. So she's in my phone as Banj.
Yeah.
Mine was Kimbo.
I like it.
Kimbo.
Kimmy.
I like Kimbo.
They all call me Kimmy, but growing up it was Kimmy or Kimbo.
You're not a Kimmy to me.
Mm-mm.
That's all my family knows me as.
That's so funny.
Nicknames for me, Brett is pretty simple. There's not really another way to go about that one. I did get one.
Is Brett short for anything?
Nope.
Bretterton?
Albert.
Bretlin?
Nope.
Bretsky?
Tisha.
Just Brett.
Bretisha.
And if we're being honest, maybe the nickname is that everyone says my name without actually pronouncing the T's.
The second T?
Brett.
Say Brett?
Brett.
So
Brett.
many people say Brent, and they know it's Brett, but their mouths can't say Brett, so they say Brent.
Yeah, when they write me, text me, they will spell it Brett, but they will say Brent.
It's so weird.
I don't know. Growing up, I felt like my name was pretty uncommon, apparently, because nobody knew how to say it. It was weird to them. And then I grew up and I was like, oh, it's an old man name. So I'm an old man.
So not many nicknames for you growing up.
No, little things that your like mom would call you a little bit, but it would be like
Nothing that stuck.
Nothing stuck. As a teenager, I had some friends that called me Benny, and that didn't really make sense, but I got called Benny for a while.
My nickname, I was always Daniel, but I never liked Dan. I hate Dan. Dan is like, for some reason, when I picture a Dan, I picture like a guy over the hill wearing a wife beater, cigarette in his mouth, ugly mustache. Like, that's what I picture when I think Dan. Even though I've known people named Dan that don't look anything like that, it just, for some reason in my head, that's just what I hear. And so I cringe when people try to call me Dan. So I just I hate it. Danny, I liked. In my early 20s, I insisted people call me Danny. And that's how Nicole met me.
So when I introduced him originally, I said, oh, this is my boyfriend, Danny. So my brothers still are like, who's Daniel?
Yeah, they still
don't-
call me Danny to this day.
As like
in my
a
family.
point of protest.
Okay, do you
So-
prefer Daniel, though? Or do you prefer Danny?
I like both, but it depends on how you started calling me from the beginning. I kind of like it to stay that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
But like Danny is fine. Like if you ever called me Danny, I'd be like, yeah, that's great.
What do you call him, Nicole?
That's why we wanted to get into this.
But
'Cause,
first,
yeah,
let me
pet
tell
names.
you my nickname growing up.
Yes.
You know the Sleepy Hollow Ichabod Crane?
Yeah.
My dad calls me Nichabod Crane or Nichabod.
Really?
She's never been Nikki.
Never Nikki. I've never been Nikki to anyone except my cousins, strangely. So they have an exception. Don't know why. But no one else. So
Nichabod.
I've always just been Nicole or Coley. I'm Coley a lot to my family, but not only to my mom sometimes. Nick. I'm called Nick a lot by my family, but Nichabod Crane is what my dad has always called me.
Coley is so significant that we actually want to call one of our daughters, when we have a daughter, Colette. So we can call her Coley.
So she's named after me in
I
a
love
sideways
That
kind of
is
way.
super cute.
But what we call each other is a little different.
So my little nephew years ago was like in a nickname kick. You know how like kids kind of like discover language and want to manipulate it.
Yeah.
He called him Daniel Paniel. And so I called him Daniel Paniel for a long time, but that's long. So I just dropped the Daniel and I started calling him Paniel. So I say Paniel, Paniel. And that was too long. So I call him Pan. I've been calling him Pan. Pan. For like 6 years.
Panny?
4 or 5. Panny.
Yeah, she calls me Panny.
I'll call him Panny sometimes. Pan. Pan.
That's my nickname now.
And
from
it's
Nicole.
stuck. And it's just the way it is now. He's Pan.
That is adorable.
And so like I'll call her Pot or
So
Pots.
we're pots and pans.
Oh, that is amazing.
Can
Yep,
I call you guys
win.
that?
Sure.
Just when we talk about you, like pots and pans are coming over.
And so I told my nephew the story about how we're pots and pans. And when he was learning to write, I was staying at his house and his mom told him, don't bug Nicole if she's sleeping. Just let her sleep in. She's not used to kids and being around kids all the time. And so he wrote a note and put it under my door. And because he was learning to write, Nicole felt hard for him. So he wrote, Pots, come downstairs and play with me.
Oh,
Oh, that's adorable.
However, we didn't leave it at that because for some reason I want to like come up with a more original nickname for her. And so I'm always trying to slap two things together for some reason to see if it works.
And most of the
anything
time,
stuck?
I hate them.
So I've called her like Sultry Mouse. They're always random.
Onion Barrel
Onion
is
Barrel.
the worst.
what?
She loves onions, and so I think, oh, my little onion.
Onion barrel?
It's the worst nickname in history.
Or like I've called her.
The one that's this week is Spaghetti Crayon. And I hate it.
I say, oh, my little spaghetti crayon. But like I'm always trying to come up with some random nickname just because I think it's funny.
Oh.
But do you guys have any pet names for each other? Nicknames for
And
each
our
other?
kids.
Let's hear
Shall
it.
we? Okay. So I always call Brett Sweetie or Babe. So I really love the name Kimberly and nobody calls me that. So he just knows I love it. So he's always called me Kimberly.
Kimberly is what I'll call her. Also, I speak Spanish, and so I'll call her my Nina, which is my baby girl, but in Spanish I'll be like, Nina.
Yeah.
Right now she's in my phone, which is really funny to hear my girls try to like use our Alexas and try to speak to her because they'll try to call her, and it's my Foxy Lady.
Oh yeah.
So she's my Foxy Lady. So in my phone, it's my Foxy Lady.
Yeah. Bryn's in my phone as Bryn Foxy Mama. Bentley only calls, well, first she called Bryn Sissy. And now that she's older, she calls her Sis. And she says it's so weird to say her name. So Sis. My brother-in-law made up Bentelope for Bentley. And it stuck. We call her Bentelope.
All the
love
time,
it.
Bentelope.
And we call her Ben. What else? Brett has the weirdest names he calls them.
guys, I
Like,
make
just
I
shoot
make
some
up
out.
words. I
Yeah.
just make up words to call our kids.
Yeah.
Schmoofa, Squambucha. That's one.
Oh my gosh. Is that for
Squambucha.
one child or both?
Both. I'll be like, hey, Squambucha.
I do the same thing to Nicole, but she doesn't like it.
No, so
See, so Spaghetti Crayon, Squambucha.
Part of
These
it
are the
is
things
because-
that we as women have to deal with in 2024.
Listen, when I try to talk to my wife and she's on her phone looking at reels or whatever, I say, hey, my sweetie. Hey, princess. Hey, my love.
Hey, Spaghetti Crayon, and that gets her attention.
Yes, she
Because I
won't
hate it.
respond to anything else. And she's like, why do you call me that? I'm like, because you don't respond to anything else. So I've had to come up with all these extra nicknames because they get her attention.
I also call Brett Sexy, and we almost named our old dog Sexy. The girls thought it was so funny. And I was like, I am not going to go to the park and be like, hey, Sexy, come here. People will think I'm talking to them. Bryn, when Bentley was a baby, she would call her the funniest names like Boopers or Booby.
I like that.
That's so funny. My nephew, when Sammy was born, he said, my little cocoa powder.
Yeah, I call her his little cocoa powder.
We love
He also
nicknames.
invented a swear word. So he
What
was
is
really mad at her one day. And he goes, you shutsy. He called her a shutsy. And his mom was like, what? And he goes, you know when you're so mad at someone, you want to shut the door in their face? That's what I feel.
Shutsy.
He called her a shutsy.
We should just make up swear words so we can swear, but we don't really swear.
Yeah. So
like it.
when you're really mad at someone and you just want to like slam a door in their face, you call them a shutsy.
I love it. I wonder what nickname Clark would have had growing up. Clarky? Clarkster?
Clarkson.
Clarkson? Yeah.
Kooky Clark.
Yeah.
Coco.
Super baby.
Clark Nugget.
Clark Nugget. I mean, he was an only child. That is until this episode, which is called Stray.
Oh, you're so good at segues, Daniel. How did you do that?
That was impressive. Sarah.
So good.
That was great. So this is Season 1, Episode 16, Stray.
We interrupt this premium program for this special announcement. We need you to follow us on social media. Our link is in the description.
And in this episode, we're going to ask AI to tell us what happened. And ChatGPT says, in this episode, Clark Kent and his family take in a young boy named Ryan, who has the ability to read minds. Ryan is on the run from his abusive stepfather and a woman who are using his powers for criminal activities. As Clark bonds with Ryan, he tries to protect him from the dangerous adults pursuing him, while also navigating his own burgeoning superpowers and responsibilities. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor becomes interested in Ryan's abilities, further complicating matters. The episode explores themes of family, trust, and the moral implications of superpowers.
Pretty good, ChatGPT.
Good job, ChatGPT.
I'll give you ChatGPT. Good work.
So this episode is one that when Nicole and I saw it coming up, both like
Heartbroken.
Yeah, we're pre-heartbroken.
Because we've seen this before, and we've seen further into the series, and we know that this episode,
There's
I have
something
no
about
words.
this story with Ryan that is like the saddest story that Smallville tells. I think that part of it is the delivery of the actor who plays Ryan. He is so... He's the kid
Believable.
you want to just like give him a hug and say, everything's going to be fine. I'll never let anything hurt you ever again.
it hits so close to home because if we knew someone who was abused, because you know it right off the bat, he's been abused, you want to protect him, and ultimately, like, you can't just take him. He's got to go.
I know, those stupid
system.
laws. I don't see how you could argue that the Kents couldn't possibly be the best parents for Ryan, especially at this point. They've already dealt with a kid with superpowers. Now they're pretty pro at it for the most part. There's so much justification you could make for them to just steal him, you know, and you wish they would. And that is the hardest. I think that's one of the most tragic things about this episode is you leave this episode wishing Clark could have Ryan as his brother permanently. Like, you wish Ryan would stay for the rest of the show.
Yes.
And be Clark's little sidekick.
It would be amazing.
But
Yes.
that's too happy, apparently.
Well, so I just had this thought, actually. What if they had lied to the aunt and said, well, we actually know what this is kind of like because Ryan reads minds. You're going to find, like, there's no way you could keep it from the aunt. We actually have a son that has super strength. Like, we'll give him a piece.
Yeah.
And just say, watch, and have him bend something and say, so we understand having a kid with abilities, and Ryan's is actually way more advanced than Clark's and intense. Can he live here?
Yeah.
Come visit, come be his family, but we want to take care of him and love him and give him a support system with 2 parents and a sibling.
Yeah.
yeah, like, would
let-
you
let
please
that
put him up for
happen.
adoption and we'll take him?
Yeah.
And
or just sign over some guardianship rights to us or whatever. Or let him live here for the school year and come, like, whatever. Just something.
He'll
'cause-
learn farm work, which is good for him. right?
Oh,
Like,
wouldn't it be so great for Clark?
yes.
I know.
Right?
that's what I keep thinking.
I know.
Like, Clark needed somebody to be in his life that can understand him, that can be
Yes.
a sibling with him.
And all the Kents just love Ryan by the end, like he's family already. You can't plan that, right? It's kind of like with you guys. I did not expect to become best friends with you and for your kids to feel like my own nieces. And yet here we are, right? It just sometimes that chemistry is perfect, and this chemistry is incredible. So we start out the episode with Ryan in a pawn shop. He's trying to pawn off something and he says it's gold.
His gold angel.
And he says it was given to by his mother. And even Ryan acting is a good actor, right? The actor who plays him is good. And then when he acts as Ryan, you know,
Yes.
he's really, really good. He knows exact. And I mean, having a tragic past, it'd be easy to draw on that to say, like, because he truly does have strong feelings about his long lost mother now.
Oh, of course.
And so he draws on that when he needs to, and it's very, very good. But I wanted to ask Kim, at what point did you know what Ryan's powers were?
So in this scene, when he's trying to pawn something off, I had no idea what was going on.
Did you think maybe he was like listening and like counting clicks or something? Like he was maybe super smart or?
Yes.
Did reading minds pop into your head?
No,
yet?
not at all. Probably not until like maybe 3 scenes in.
When he's making breakfast.
Yes.
Or not even then.
Would it be later than that?
Let me.
Let's watch.
As we
Okay.
watch
Yeah.
it. I'll let you know. But yeah, I had no idea. And then I was like, is he kidnapped by these terrible people? Because there's no way that could be his parents.
Yeah. Later, you find out that it is his stepdad and his new wife.
And that
His
broke
new
my
girlfriend,
heart.
yeah. So Ryan gives them the combination, which is 43, 13, 29. And then they go in and they wear masks that are identical to their own faces.
With a smile.
Yeah, just their exact face in a plastic mask.
Maybe they think that would throw people off. I don't know.
They
Weird.
just like to look nice when they commit murder.
I guess
And
so.
they shoot the pawn shop guy to get into the safe.
And Ryan watches it.
And then it freaks. I think maybe this might have been the first time they killed someone in front of him because he
Yeah.
ugh.
It might not be the first time they've ever murdered, but at least in front of Ryan,
Right,
it
yes.
might be.
Yeah.
So Ryan decides, I'm done, and he runs. Thank goodness he runs.
And thank goodness Martha hits him with her car,
That
I
was
guess.
a really intense hit.
Yeah.
I know.
It looked like a pretty good practical effect, too, didn't it?
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
we were watching, and honestly, Kimberly and Bentley with me watching this, both of them were definitely feeling it. They're like, "What is gonna happen? What? Don't shoot him! Don't, please, no!" Like that was Bentley. Please don't shoot him! Don't get him!
Yeah. And as soon as Martha hopped out of the car, I was like, oh, it's Martha. Okay.
So she immediately takes him to the hospital, and we find out that he has been abused because doctors are trained to know bruise patterns. You wouldn't have a really old bruise from a car accident that just happened. So he's got bruises and marks, and he looks pretty malnourished. They know
Yeah.
he's been abused.
Bentley was like, he's so skinny. Yeah.
And because he says he has amnesia and he can't remember anything, there's no one to call. So he has to go into foster care, which makes sense. And the Kents offered to take him in temporarily.
Until
And the doctor says, yeah, okay, we can make that happen.
And it's explained that child services are understaffed
And over full, and they
and-
need a couple days before they could get someone. He was just going to have to go to like a youth detention center, which is insane.
basically be locked in a cell.
Yeah.
Which is
and of course,
insane.
Martha's like, we'll take him in. Yep.
So they do, and thank goodness they do. I just love the Kents, and they're so good.
So the next scene is them at home in the morning, right?
Breakfast.
So yes, you're right. That is exactly when I knew he read minds.
Because he's made all this breakfast with orange juice. And
yeah, there's some orange juice
yeah.
in this.
And he says, "What do you want for breakfast, Mrs. Kent?" And he just says, "Hold on, let me guess," because he's reading her mind. He makes her the perfect breakfast. Same thing with Jonathan. And who puts honey in coffee?
I don't know.
I'm not a coffee drinker.
And none of us are, so it's like caramely and honeyed. I don't feel like that
I just don't. I mean, is that a thing? I've never
comment and tell
I've
us
never
if that's
seen
a
a
thing.
Starbucks order with honey in it. You
I know,
put
I know
only in
people are
tea.
using that instead of sugar.
Maybe.
So it might be a replacement.
Maybe. Jonathan's like, it's my honey. I got it from my own bees. I don't grow sugar cane. I only grow honey. So that's what we use. Maybe. And he figures out there are 2 breakfasts. And then Clark comes in and he says, "Don't you want anything, Clark?" And he
no.
can't read his mind.
I loved this. It was like a shield. Clark's mind is.
Oh no.
So what does that remind you of?
Oh no.
I mean,
Daniel is dying.
I thought the same thing, Nicole. It's just like Twilight.
Because these
And he says the same thing. He's like, I like being around you. It's quiet. I love it.
Stephanie Meyer, are you
If
a
I
fan
could take a picture of Daniel
Smallville?
right now, oh man, if he's double palming his face. It's all over.
I didn't even think about it until we recorded the previous episode, and Nicole was talking about all these Twilight references. And as soon as it was like that. Oh no, it's coming! Oh my gosh!
I literally wrote Bella and Edward in my notes.
I don't
It's
like
so
that
blatant.
reference to Clark and Ryan, though. It's weird.
I didn't say they were falling in love. I just said that their mental issues were the same.
Yes. And so now they're outside, him and Clark, and he tells him how relaxing it is to be around Clark because Clark's mind is silent. There's a barrier.
And Ryan kind of alludes to like, well, what if I've done bad things? Like, what if I'm a bad person and I don't remember because I have amnesia? Because he's trying to fish for like,
Yes.
would these people hurt me too?
In this scene, Clark gets a little glimpse of Ryan's past.
And we learn that Ryan loves Warrior Angel, the
Yes.
comics.
Which we've now established that in this universe, they do have comic books.
Yes, they do.
And you'll learn later that there were good inspirations for those comic books.
Wait, in other universes, are there not comic books?
Not often.
Oh.
Not in every comic book universe is there comic books as well.
Oh.
It's not always the case. And sometimes I've seen, if you have ever seen The Boys, in The Boys, the superheroes actually star in their own movies and then they make comics after them. But, I've seen that done in other ways. But there's not often like a bunch of comics and comic heroes. They're usually, when you get like an origin story, they're the first of that. And that's why it's all new to everyone and nobody's like thinking about it, right? It's kind of helpful. But in this universe, there are comic books.
Oh, okay. Another vampire thing. I thought the actor of Ryan's dad looked like Elijah from Vampire Diaries.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah,
gosh.
he does.
Oh.
Brett, don't you think?
Yeah.
He's got an
absolutely
Elijah
looks
look.
like that.
Yeah.
And Nicole, you should watch that.
You would love it.
I should.
Yeah.
Next, we'll remember the Vampire Diaries next. I'll be the virgin watcher for that one.
Yay!
I would be too.
So Clark and Ryan play some basketball. I just want them to adopt him.
Yeah.
So
already.
And even like Jonathan and Martha are like, should we?
Yeah.
Should we have adopted someone else? Like, I've always thought about it. You guys should have. And it should have been this kid.
Yes. So Ryan comes back, I'm assuming. I don't know.
Well, you
We'll
know
see.
why they didn't adopt somebody else?
Why?
Think about what Clark was.
Right. They were scared.
He might hurt the sibling. They didn't know what they were really getting into yet. So
Yeah.
I understand it. But had they known what Ryan would be, he would have been the one they could have adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah, the evil parents are trying to find Ryan. They go to the hospital. The doctor doesn't give him a ton of information, which is good because you're not allowed to. And they kind of are still looking for him.
It makes me so mad that they show up and they're going to mess things up. It makes me so angry.
Ugh, I know.
I'm kind of a basketball lover myself, so I thought it was really cute watching Clark teach Ryan how to shoot and having fun. They're playing games together. That was a special touching moment for me.
Because he's never gotten to just be the big brother. Where he's been around peers a lot. Where you have to like hide your equalness because you're all supposed to be equals. But when you're the big brother, you get to let them win and just be gentle.
Yeah.
And he gets to, and it's so cute.
I thought this moment with Jonathan and Martha was really special and really tender, just as they're looking and they're talking about why they didn't adopt before, why they didn't adopt again. And then I just wrote this down because I thought it was really cute that Jonathan says, "You've always had a soft spot for strays." And that was just a really cute moment for me.
I think we all have a soft spot for this stray.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna cut to the
Mansion.
the mansion, and Lionel's back. And I want you to notice that when he's talking to Lex, he'll be standing near the window, and the red light from the stained glass like hits his face, and it's so symbolic that he's not good. That red tone,
Okay.
and it, like just a watch. It's so cool how they have stand here, do this, put the light in, and there's like this red light that will hit Lionel's face when he's talking to Lex about like, your performance is more than adequate and come back to Metropolis, son, you've earned it.
Yeah.
That's a thing that they do a lot with Lex and Lionel. They do the lighting very deliberately.
Wow.
I've watched a lot of like director's commentaries and bonus features, and that's something they've mentioned in the DVDs, is that the lighting is a big indicator in the show of like intentions and like what mood were they're going for. It's really cool.
That's amazing.
That's why if you notice, there were like a lot of movies in this time period, there were a lot of orange in them. There was like, it was a big color to use. It was expressing a certain type of emotion at the time. And then movies turned to more like bluish tones. If you look at like Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3 versus 1, the tone changes with the lighting especially.
Wow.
And then you even get a major tone change between like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It was like different styles of that. Imagine having read The Art of War enough to be able to quote it and then also recognize when somebody else is quoting it, right? That is one of the funny things is Lionel, of course, Lionel or Lex in every episode has some like obscure historical reference
100%.
or, you know, a reference to one of these types of books. It's very much them. Speaking of obscure references, I love when Clark in this next scene says, Chloe's the queen of obscure, irrelevant references.
Yeah.
And then Ryan is playing wingman for Chloe, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, here he's reading her mind that she wants to go to prom with it. Oh, cute little Ryan trying to be helpful to Clark. Like, oh, he probably wants to, this girl's cute. He probably would like it to know, like, you know, have that advantage. He's just so good and genuine.
Yeah.
No, I feel bad for Ryan because he doesn't know that you can just be friends with someone and someone will like you
Just
and
because.
and you don't have to provide them information,
Yeah.
secret information.
There's, maybe that's it more, huh?
Because he's like, oh, I want to be on Clark's good side. I better dig
Yes.
into these people that he knows
Yeah, 'cause
and
his
give them
dad
some
uses
dirt.
him.
Right. He's only
Yeah.
ever been used. That's his only purpose, he thinks. He thinks his only value is to read people's minds and not just to be himself.
Yeah.
So when I thought about Jonathan and Martha being adopted parents of Ryan, because we all thought about this, like how would they be? This is one of the things I thought that they would be able to help him with, is understanding there's a difference between what happens in people's minds and what they speak. And that's actually a skill that's learned.
Yes.
Right? It's not necessarily that everyone's trying to be secretive, but you can control what you say and what you don't say.
Yeah.
And that's part of the value. So for him, he's thinking, oh, this person has this on their mind all the time. So if he were their child, he'd be hearing them be upset with him, but then hear them speak in softer tones.
Right.
Like understanding there's a difference between what I think and what comes out. And that's a control you can learn.
Wow.
And you know the thing is with him, he's going to know that Jonathan and Martha, by the time he leaves them at the end of the episode, genuinely love him
Yeah.
already
Yes.
because of their thoughts and
Yeah.
how sad they are, you know, which would
That's
make
so
it
cute.
so much harder to go.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And it's clearly his stepdad, his thoughts do become actions because he's more instinctual and more, you know, he doesn't have that filter that other people have. So if he's around it all the time, no wonder he learns that, right?
So Chloe tells Ryan this story. Ryan guesses the ending of the story. I thought that he could read minds during breakfast, but then when he guesses the ending of the story, or not guesses, but reads her mind, I was like, okay, he's a mind reader.
Yeah, that
So
confirmed it for
And
you.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
Chloe didn't just say, well, he was murdered, because she's kind
Yeah.
of blunt and like
Yeah.
doesn't think
well,
about what she
she's
says
about
sometimes.
to, and then she like actually,
It's like, oh,
it gets
let's-
stuck in her
let's
throat.
make it
This is a
kid-friendly.
child.
yeah.
And he sees that as suspicious because he's used to that,
Yes.
which is sad because she's trying to be sensitive. And
he looks at it as a manipulation.
yeah, and the actor
Yeah.
does a really good job with his suspicious face. He always like, you know, he does that thing with his eyebrows every time. It's great. He does a good job.
So we're back at the Talon. Yay.
I love the sign that the Talon has outside. Like the episode before was like poetry reading, and then this time it's silent film festival.
Yeah. I feel bad for Clark. He gets friend zoned so hard by Lana in this.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's so nice having a brother you can always count on or whatever. And she goes, yeah, that's how I've always thought of you. Oh, sorry.
Ouch.
You went from friend to sibling.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than when the girl you like says something like that or calls you bro. Every once in a while, Nicole will just be silly and she'll say bro to me. And
I'm like, come on, bro, let's go. And he's like,
And I'm like,
stop it.
I'm not your bro.
I'm not your bro. I'm your man.
So Lex walks in. Lex and Ryan have a fun little conversation. Ryan's reading his mind, what have you.
About the comic books.
About the comic books. But I really like this. You learn a little bit more about the Warrior Angel series. This comic book comes back in Smallville more than once. But Warrior Angel is about a strange visitor from another planet that protects the weak.
And
Again,
he's bold.
We are in season 1 and season 2. Let's call it out as much as possible.
What is that a reference to? I don't get it.
Exactly. So Lex has a first edition copy. It's all encased and nice, and he offers Ryan to come over, and Ryan's not really feeling it.
Because he doesn't like Lex's top thoughts.
He knows.
He
that
knows
Lex
they're
has
not so
other
great.
things.
And he's like, Lex is going to leave. His dad gave him a job. And Clark's like, why are you making up stuff, buddy?
Yeah.
And I get it, because Clark's kind of naive.
And the last thing you would think is that a kid could read minds.
Right.
And then he gives Lana a little warning.
You need to fire Skye. She's not a good worker. She's bad.
Yeah.
I love this little foreshadowing as he's reading in Warrior Angel about someone being trapped inside a metal case. And Warrior Angel busts through and says, "You're safe now," because in about 2.5 minutes later in the episode, Ryan is trapped inside of a dump truck and Clark saves him and says, "Don't worry, you're safe now."
I have thoughts about this.
Okay.
That's not a automated garbage truck. It's not run by robots.
Yeah.
There's one, maybe two people in the cab of that truck with mirrors.
So let's
and
explain.
necks.
Ryan sees his dad and
Stepdad.
his
It's his stepdad. His mom's terrible at choosing relationships.
Oh, I did not. Okay.
So yeah, his mom died, his stepdad then has him and gets remarried.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So much more sense. So he sees him in the Talon and he runs. And
Ryan's like, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm. And he runs outside and he sees dumpsters, so he hops in a dumpster. And then the garbage truck comes.
And it scoops him up and starts to crush him. And then Clark thinks, there's not people in that garbage truck. They couldn't just get out of the car and watch. But he breaks and pulls the hydraulic valve and then rips the side open.
I mean, it is kind of impressive that he knew which hose to grab.
You know what I would do?
You know?
He's maybe 3 feet from the cab of the truck.
You would just tap on the...
Stop, there's a kid in there.
Yep.
Problem solved.
But then he wouldn't have saved him like Warrior Angel.
But he's going to later again. You can still have the reference because you're going to have it again.
It's true. Speaking of Warrior Angel, I know this is a teeny tangent, but I did just look it up because I was curious to see if somebody had since written actual comics that are Warrior Angel. You can buy copies of the props they used for the original Warrior Angel comic books.
Oh, fun.
How
And they're
fun.
technically legit comic books that Alfred Goff and Miles Miller, who wrote Smallville, they wrote these. They wrote a bunch of issues just really quick and put them together for props so they could use them throughout the show. But you can buy those copies of those props if you so strongly desire.
If you do, maybe you should do the podcast because I don't have that kind of willpower to buy comic books.
So our next scene, Lex is approaching Clark in the barn, and he's
While
asking...
Clark has his tool belt on.
Yes. Got to be doing some work. And Ryan's asleep, so they start talking, and I feel like it's a good moment. We learn some things about Lex. He had a little brother named Julian, and it's a sad story. And I'm not going to lie to you. I won't give you more detail, but it's more sad. We find out more detail about this. This is a more sad story in the future.
Than just what Lex glosses over with Clark on
Really?
first storytelling. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely heart-wrenching.
So we learned that little Julian died from SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. His mom was kind of never the same after that. His dad really wanted a younger son to raise and become the heir.
Yeah. Have a second chance at raising a better son.
And Lex comes to tell Clark that he's been offered a job in Metropolis and he's not sure if he's going to go back or not.
And Clark connects some dots, or he's starting to, that he's like, wait, did Ryan tell you that? Because
Did you tell
had
Ryan?
mentioned
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then after this scene, we notice that the baddies are stalking the Kents and they're trying to come up with a plan to take Ryan back. And that's all you see. It's a quick little, they're in the car, they're stalking, they're like, we'll figure it out, and then it's
like
over.
he's like, leave him here, then we don't have to worry about him till we're ready for him, till we know what
Someone
our
else
next play
can
is going to
take
be.
care of him until we need him.
Exactly.
We need to use him.
Well,
yeah.
we're working on a new scheme, and sees the connect. They probably noticed the connection between the Kents and Lex, which is why they make the moves they do later. And then we get into this next scene.
Where Ryan asks Lana, what's your biggest fear, or whatever he asks. He's basically prying because he still hasn't learned that you can make friends without finding out people's secrets and sharing secrets.
Oh, and this is when he warns her about the employee.
And then Chloe does some research with Clark and they find Ryan's backpack where he was hit, and they find a picture of his mom. But the thing we need to talk about, which is critical information, is they find Twizzlers in his backpack. And I wanted to know, are you guys a Twizzlers family or a Red Vines family?
I'm not a big licorice fan at all. If I have to eat it, Red Vines.
Okay, Brett?
I'll go with any of it. If I'm choosing, and I know this makes me unique in this way, I actually prefer black
licorice.
licorice. Black licorice is so good.
I try and like it, and I
love black
hate
licorice.
it.
I don't like black licorice. I really like Twizzlers, though. I think I prefer them over Red Vines because I'm not a huge super licorice fan. I prefer especially the little bites that are the cherry flavored.
The bites
The
are
nibs.
awesome.
The
and
nibs.
then also the pull-apart ones, the strings. I
Ew.
love those
No,
ones.
I can go
See,
for that.
we were a Red Vines family growing up.
Same.
For Father's Day, we'd get my dad those huge like buckets of red vines
Yes,
that are
same.
just full of red vines.
Yeah.
And we'd eat them. Did you ever red vines into a straw where you bite both ends off and then you
And
stick
then
it in
you-
some soda
yep,
and
up
drink
camping.
it?
We all did that, yeah.
My dad's
So fun.
weird. He leaves his licorice
To get
out.
hard.
Yes, does
So does
yours
mine.
too?
Mhm.
Oh, they
Oh
should
my
be friends.
goodness.
And
No.
marshmallows he'll leave out to
Really?
get stale.
I don't think my dad eats
No, but
marshmallows.
her dad will do bagels too. He likes
Yeah, he likes
everything
stale
to be like,
bagels.
He's like, they just get toasted with the air.
What did they grow up during the Depression when everything was stale?
Listen, no, I'm all about a good fresh, put that in quotes, licorice. I like it soft. I don't like it.
I kind of
be
do
hard.
too.
I
Yeah.
prefer
chewy.
fresh food in general.
What?
And then one more honorable mention from the scene of Chloe finding the backpack. She's wearing a long jean skirt with pants underneath. Is she?
As
Disgusting.
one does.
It's disgusting.
Well, I guess they have jackets on.
So yeah, it's cold, but why is she wearing a long jean skirt that's like almost to the ankles? Not
With
quite,
pants.
but then there are pants underneath it too.
Are they
'Cause
like
they're in
leggings
Canada.
or jeans?
No, they're flared like pattern pants. 23 minutes, 44 seconds. She's wearing a long jean skirt, and then there are pants underneath, and then boots.
boots.
Must be cold in Canada.
Okay, so
Seriously.
but this is another interesting point though. It's not something that really bothers me in the show, but just as someone rewatching this, it's hard to follow the season. Where are we at in like
Time wise,
time wise in
Oh,
the
I know.
calendar year? Because we had Frozen Lake,
Yes.
and it's like, is this fall? Like the coloring seems more fall than it does spring,
Right.
but this is happening after that. This should be more springtime ish.
Well, they probably had to do all of their shots in the summer to fall time.
Yeah.
Right? Just because in Canada it gets
Well,
kind
this
of cold.
episode, the last episode aired in March, so this is probably also March, which means they shoot it.
But they shoot
way before that.
Yeah, they shoot all at once. Like not all at once, but like they shoot over the course of one shot in one season, right? But yeah, and they're doing this in Canada, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
hard to
interesting.
tell.
Hard to kind of follow.
It-
You're like, it should.
It
school
makes
year's
me
in the
wonder,
fall,
did
goes
they
to spring.
shoot out of order
Sometimes they do.
or what? But
Bentley made a comment during this. She was like, it's been a couple episodes since they've been in school. Do they not have school? Like, what's going on?
You know, they were in school last episode,
and you
but
don't know
not a
what
lot of
day of the
learning what
week
happened.
it is sometimes. Like it could be a Saturday or
True,
whatever.
Clark does halftime school. He's half doing work from home.
Hybrid. Oh, wait, that didn't exist.
I know.
In this same scene with the ugly jean skirt pants combo, I didn't like how the script did the interaction between Clark and Chloe about the prom stuff.
Oh, so awkward.
It was weird.
It just didn't work well. I wonder if they were trying to be authentic or if they just straight up. I don't know. It just didn't work. And
Yeah.
Clark's reaction didn't seem like something Clark would do, and Chloe's reaction seemed like correct to based on what he did. You know what I mean? It's just strange. I wish
Yeah.
they
Felt
could have
almost
fixed
out
it.
of character for them to have that interaction.
And like they could have had the interaction, but they should have gone down differently. Clark should have had one of his dumb excuses for something or whatever, but they just like ignore it and move on. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So in the next scene, we get Ryan asking questions of the Kents, and he's digging and he's going to learn the secret of Clark.
He learns from Martha's mind what her biggest fear is, and it's that someone will find out about Clark. So Ryan then, by hearing thoughts, goes down to the storm cellar where the spaceship is. And new spaceship alert.
Yes, it's
It
no
is
longer the
new.
pine cone.
This is the new ship.
Yeah.
And
This is
it's
what it looks
sleek
like.
and it's great.
Yeah, this is what it looks like from
And it's
now on.
tiny.
Yeah, I told
'Cause
you
there was
it's
only
way
a baby
smaller.
in there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way smaller. And this scene, I literally cried. Tears
Yeah, she was like bawling.
because
Hey.
he's talking about, he says, they hit me. They beat me.
Yes.
I don't want to go back with them. And he tells Clark the whole story. Like, I don't have amnesia.
Protect me. And
Please help me. Like,
And-
Clark, you're the only one who can help me.
Yes. And it was so beautiful because he's like, I have secrets too. Like, we can protect each other. It was so sweet.
Yeah, he sees a potential legit brother who could understand his weirdness because he's like, oh, Clark's weird like me. Oh my gosh.
And
I love how the spaceship isn't covered. It's just out in the
I
open.
think it probably was covered, but Ryan
Maybe he-
pulled the
okay.
tarp back, probably.
I sound stupid admitting this, but it didn't even occur to me that Ryan would read their thoughts and he would find out about Clark. I had
Oh,
no
really?
idea. Yeah. So it was a fun
that
surprise.
totally make. Yeah, no, I don't think that's dumb at all.
Yeah. So this scene, I literally can't. It's
Yeah.
She says like, I promise I'll keep your secret because you'll keep mine, and can you help me? There are these people who are after me and they hurt me. And Clark shows him a picture. Is this your mom? Which triggers more sadness. Yeah, my mom died. My stepdad and his new girlfriend, they hurt me. They beat me. They're not good people. They steal. They kill people.
And they make me help them.
They make me do bad things.
Oh.
Please help me, Clark.
I even love that he
And he's crying, and I can't help it.
His
because
cry. Oh.
Freaking Ryan.
Oh, she's even
I'm
getting...
gonna cry right now. I cannot with him. I cannot.
No, I even love how he goes and reaches out to Clark and he says, I know your dad's always worried about people finding out because I can hear people's thoughts.
I
I
can
can
help
warn
you.
you
I
when
can
people are
protect
close.
you.
Like, oh,
And he feels like he has to.
like earn his keep or
Yes!
provide value.
Yes.
And they would
And
keep
that
him.
kills
they
me.
would keep him if he had no powers.
Oh, they would keep him no matter what. Oh.
Oh, Coley.
I just can't, you guys. I cannot with this episode.
Oh.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Because I will say we will get another Ryan episode, and because of that one, this one I cannot watch. It's so sad.
It's because you know about the future, because he's not just here's a thing of the day,
Yeah.
Ryan is not
Right.
something
This
that
is
goes
not.
away
This
forever.
is not like villain of the day. This is.
This actually has lasting consequences, and so because you know that, it makes it extra sad.
I can't.
Would you adopt Ryan in
Oh.
real life?
Yes, 100%. In a second.
Yeah,
No,
we would too.
I swear, if the CW knew how to market this would be one that you'd put an ad right after the end and just be like, call your local adoption agency
Seriously.
and like adopt someone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish the adoption process was not so complicated in the
I know.
United States.
Yeah, we looked into it before.
Yeah, we did. I've looked into it too, and it's extremely expensive. It's horrible. If you're not rich, you can't adopt unless you do the foster system, which is
So
way
up in
more
the air.
painful because
Yeah.
you don't really have control over it because you have to foster first, and then maybe they get adopted and you lose them, so you could get attached. There's so many problems with adoption, and so I just wish it were easy. If it were easy, we would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So then the next scene comes where Ryan is taken away because he's threatened. He says, if you tell them, I'll kill them. And he says, I will. And I think if Ryan wasn't, 12, 11, 13, however old he is,
Yes.
he would have found a way to let them know in a way that would have prevented that. But I think he just
He wants
can't
to protect
think of a way,
them.
and he doesn't want them to get hurt.
And she does way too good. The girlfriend.
Yeah,
Ew.
she's convincing.
She creeps me out.
She's a really good
And
actress.
sadly, he doesn't get to say goodbye to Clark. And I just don't know if the Kents have Clark and Jonathan and Martha discussed what has been going on. So they have. He says, well, we believe his stepfather's after him. And she goes, okay, well, we'll keep an eye out. We'll keep him safe.
That's what it
And
seems
so
like. Yeah.
they're doing everything they can because there's no legal way for them to keep him at this point. Maybe they're thinking, okay, well, he has to go. Let's do that. Then let's get the process started. Because I think they honestly, if
I
he
think they wanted
had
to.
no family, they would have adopted him.
Oh, yeah.
Clark shows up after Ryan's been taken. He's like, oh, shoot, I wanted to say goodbye to him, but not the end of the world because, we'll see him again. This is not the end of Ryan's journey with them.
And then Lex shows
up. And I was like, does he have a cane? But no, it's a sword. It's a foil, we've been told, for fencing. And he gives it to Clark as like a going away present,
He
essentially.
would give Clark a foil. That's such a Lex thing.
This was a fun turn of events for me because I thought the original caseworker would show up and then
They've
Clark...
never met one, though.
Well,
No, but-
so he's like,
A caseworker must have been contacted.
well, no. Listen, I thought you weren't supposed to come for an hour. So the real
Right.
one was gonna show
Gonna show up.
And
Probably
so I
in
thought,
the next half hour. You thought it
That's-
was the caseworker.
well, no, I thought that's how Clark would
Would
know.
find out.
So we see Lex, and then we see his driver,
His limo driver. Right,
and
but
it's the stepdad.
No one knows what he looks like.
Yeah.
We
Yet.
know as the watcher, but
So
We
then I was
know.
like, oh, that's fun. That's a fun turn of events.
I really like that. I was the same way. Even this time watching it, I didn't remember that's how it happened. I thought the same thing, that the real caseworker would show up to the door and they'd say, we sent him with the caseworker.
Yeah.
No, there's not another caseworker. And that would have clicked for,
Yeah.
Clark. That's how I thought
But
it was
maybe
gonna
an
be.
hour would have been too late.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So luckily, Chloe has sources all over the country.
Yeah,
And she
flirty
has a
cop.
source that found Ryan's stepfather. Clark immediately recognizes him as the limo driver. So he knows, trouble. That guy's with Lex right now. And we have Lex in the limo, and the limo pulls to the side of the road, and he's like, driver, what's going on? Which confuses me. You would think Lex would have a dedicated driver, not just like hire a random service.
Yeah.
But whatever, for whatever reason, they pull Ryan into the car, and Lex is like, Ryan, what the heck? And they get the password to his trust fund, which is Julian,
And they already got the account number
somehow without using Ryan's powers. They throw Lex out of the car. Clark speed runs to a point, and then regular runs the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a little silly because he's like, oh, they got Ryan. Get help. And he never turns around. He never actually looks Clark in the face. And
wish-
then that allows Clark to just speed run away.
I
Yep.
kind of wish Clark would just carry a truck around, just
Be
set
like,
it
I
down.
drove here.
Yeah. It would make it way easier. But, he just disappears and then people are like, oh, he's gone. In the world of cell phones, you would be more suspicious, I guess, because he does have to run to a phone somewhere.
Lex has a cell phone. People have cell phones. They're just not super common if you're not a
but I doubt there's
businessman or
very
an
good
adult.
service all over Smallville. Is what I
True.
mean, in our modern world of cell phones, it's rare to not have service somewhere, especially in a town or even a farm town. So, yeah,
Not to spend too much time on it, but in later episodes, as cell phones were picking up and becoming more popular, they do show up in the series.
Oh, good.
So cell phones are a thing.
Yeah, they actually use them for once.
Bad guys go to the predetermined location where their getaway car is because they're going to, of course, set the limo ablaze.
We need an exploding
Stupid.
car or fire in this
But
episode.
burn
at some
the
point, right?
evidence.
And
Yeah.
the password doesn't really work. Julian's not working. So I wonder, this is my thought process. Lex thought, oh, the password is blah, 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 blah. Lex loves money, 69. But the failsafe password is Julian. If that one gets typed in, then it alerts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a high profile thing. So I wonder if Ryan hears that and goes,
This is my chance.
this is my chance to foil the
Yeah.
And then he
plot.
goes even a step further. He's figured out how to use his powers for a really great purpose, and he turns them against each other because he knows.
You know what that's like?
What?
Oh gosh.
It's like in Twilight.
Oh.
When? It's in the third movie / book.
Okay.
When Victoria comes and she's got her assistant, and
Yep.
mind reader Edward is like,
Oh my
she's gonna kill you. It's all a trick. She's just using you. It's the same.
This is what you get, listeners, for not commenting. If you're not commenting and telling Nicole that she needs to stop it with the Twilight references, she won't. She will
This
never
is
stop.
not my fault. This is Stephanie Meyer's fault.
Yep.
She was watching this show 100%.
So at the bowling alley, Ryan successfully turns them against each other, and freaking bad guy murdering with a shotgun at point blank
A
range.
sawed-off shotgun.
To his girlfriend,
I mean, that's
bad guy.
intense. If you're murdering with a shotgun, you're not using birdshot, okay? You're using buckshot, which is intense. That puts big holes in.
Yeah.
Is it called buckshot because it's for bucks?
Yeah, it's for bigger. It's for larger game.
Just figure that out.
Lessons learned.
Ryan runs into the bowling alley.
Where the man kills the janitor. So 2 murders.
Yes, and he murders the janitor
so
right away.
he's done 3 murders in about a week.
He's insane.
Yeah, but he thinks he's going to get away with it somehow. To find Ryan, he bowls. Which is a little
I
silly.
thought that was a little cheesy.
Well, I think if you're
he's
an
getting
evil
strikes.
person, he was been in jail a lot. He probably doesn't get to bowl very often. He's like, opportunity.
Yeah, I guess.
lives for the
Opportunity
moment.
knocks.
Then he bowls really well.
Yeah.
And he's
I
getting
said that. I
strike
said
after
nice strike murder, man.
Yeah.
My notes.
He's really good at striking people down.
Oh, Daniel.
Danny, that was bad.
Is that better or worse than a Twilight reference?
Worse.
Comment, please.
Do you like pun, or which do you hate more, puns or Twilight
Twilight.
references?
Do you like
And by
Daniel?
the way, I've looked at the demographics. 93% of our audience is male. So I'm serious. If you want these comments to stop, you need to comment on our videos and interact with us on social media. On Instagram at Remembering Smallville. Okay.
We have this whole situation. Clark eventually shows up.
In the nick of time.
X-ray visions, and he sees them, and he picks up a bowling ball and hucks it through like wall and probably some steel and some other stuff, then it hits bad guy.
It perfect one shot at him.
Well, it would have, but I think it would have done more than knock him out.
Well, I'm sure
I
he
said
broke
it when I
his
was
sternum.
watching. I said it's got to break some ribs or
for
something
sure.
there.
Even if it did slow down the velocity by going through the wall, which it would have, I don't know if it was still moving enough to go through that. And there's only 5 more feet.
Yeah, and to throw him against the wall.
I feel like Lex would have died when he chucked him against the wall in the last. So I'm like, how many times would Clark have murdered someone? But
Make a show.
didn't.
And then we get the second, you're safe now, which the one would have been enough. He throws the bowling ball. It knocks the guy out, and then Clark gets to save Ryan, which is great.
I love it. It's
Yay,
so cute.
you're safe now. I can't imagine his relief and happiness, because in his mind, Ryan's thinking, they're going to adopt me. Because he's straight up asked him to.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's it. We did it. I get to be safe.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, so it's the Talon. Ryan gets kissed on the cheek by Lana, and he is in love with her.
Oh, I think I'm in love.
I think I'm in love.
And then Clark's like, join the
Join
club.
the club. Is exactly. I wrote it down. Join the club. Edge City. Hold on. Nerd moment.
Diddly-dee.
So,
Edge
yeah.
City
So tell us about Edge City.
In the DC Comics. This is home to a hero. We're going to put that with a question mark. It's the Mask.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of an anti-hero sometimes, isn't he?
yeah, not Jim Carrey the Mask, just for anyone that was curious. Not that.
No.
So Edge City, another fictional city that exists in the DC Comics, mostly created for Smallville, but the Mask is from there. So anytime they mention a city going somewhere else, just think about it. They mention those places, and it kind of makes it fun.
Nobody ever goes to Gotham in this show, though.
No, but they do reference Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, they do. We get a little
cool.
reference. So
We learn that, thanks for helping, says Lana. That girl was stealing from us. So
Yes.
good job, Ryan. And I think Ryan is going to start learning, if he had stayed with the Kents, I cannot pry and I'll be okay, and people will like me either way.
well,
Yes.
for the first time in his life since his mom died, which I'm sure has been quite a while, especially relative to the amount of years he's lived, even if it's only a couple years, that's still over 30% of his life. He is starting to learn that people will treat him nicely. He's seeing people treat him nicely. Oh my gosh, that must feel so good to be treated like a decent person.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the next scene, we have Lionel and Lex, and Lionel is holding 2 blue balls the whole scene.
When he walked in, I was like, blue balls.
Blue balls. Why?
Ugh.
Is it metaphorical for something?
I have no idea. He's like, I have Lexus.
Yes, I have Lex.
Was it a knick-knack sitting in the office and it's not pool balls?
They're absolutely pool balls.
You don't have 2 solid ones.
I don't know.
Listen,
Are they those Chinese
It is-
good health
it is
balls
symbolic
that
from the
clingle clangle?
It is
they
symbolic
make
from
sounds.
last week's episode because Lana stole Nell's Lionel
Yes.
collection. He now is
Oh, okay.
Lionel
sure.
has them.
He's frustrated.
Oh, oh, that's so much. I just thought he was toying with Lex's.
Yeah.
This is the secret thing the writers put in to be raunchy, and nobody really
Because
catches it.
so what we're saying is Lionel has blue balls because Lex is denying him
No,
the pleasure
because it's been a
of
while
coming to
since
Metropolis. No, that's
Ew.
not what we're saying.
that's a tangent that needs to die.
It sure is. Anyway, but Lex always does drink from a blue bottle.
I know.
That's also a thing.
We thought it was balls
But
energy drink for a while.
I did love the line here from Lex to his father. I've waited for other things for a lot longer from you.
Like a simple "I love you" or "I'm proud of you, son," instead of "Oh, you have accomplished many feats in the business realm."
Your voice for Lionel.
I don't know.
Listen, we all know that Nicole secretly loves Lionel.
I do.
Oh, she does.
There's this. Okay, it's not for a long time. There's just one episode where John Glover, is that his name?
Yep.
He's acting. I can't explain it without giving anything away, but his acting is so incredible.
That episode. It is one of the best acting things
I know,
I've seen in a show.
But it's not for a while, so let's
it's
not even talk about it.
It's many seasons. But then we get into this scene when Ryan is leaving. They found that he has a surviving aunt and she's going to take him in.
I'm mad at whoever found that out.
And
Yeah.
I thought this was weird. I'm like, what? You've never met your aunt? She's just some random.
Yeah, that was a
From
little
Edge
weird,
City.
but
It's
plot.
annoying, but it is what it is because they
Yeah.
can't keep Ryan with them.
Yeah. Playing It's Not Easy to Be Me. This is not the last time this song will be in the show.
Really?
Is this like Grey's Anatomy chasing cars?
Yeah.
I mean, the song is called Superman by Five for Fighting.
Yes.
And-
Oh.
Yeah.
I loved it because he read his aunt's thoughts and he was like, she's a good person. I'll be
Yeah.
okay. She's nervous too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so cute. I also noticed, I never noticed until now how short Martha is. She comes up to Clark's shoulder.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Is it
The
how
little
short
lady.
she is or how tall he is?
Oh,
No,
well,
because Jonathan
but
is
Jonathan,
there too.
same.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kim
So I wonder,
literally
I'll have
pointed
to
this
look
out,
into
yeah.
that, how tall she is in real life. Yeah, the goodbye scene was heartbreaking.
And then Ryan gives his comic books to Clark.
I don't need them anymore. I have you. Guys,
Let's all cry together.
tell us about the music. Hurry.
Okay, so other songs that we have, we mentioned Superman by Five for Fighting, but we also have Dragging Me Down by Todd Thibault. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, so I apologize. And Lonely Day by Phantom Planet. Some good songs. Definitely Superman is taking the cake for the star song of the show. For this episode, I'm actually going to put this one as a super episode.
100%.
I
So
recommend
super.
watching this one.
You have to watch this one. And if you
mean-
don't,
He was
You're
a little
not a
boy
good person.
Superman, literally the whole episode. It was so cute.
so good.
So
In
cute.
all the ways.
Clark gets to be completely noble. It jerks at your heartstrings. You know, if you don't believe it, just listen to this podcast because Nicole showed you.
I literally cried for you people. You better like, comment, and subscribe.
So I definitely give this one a super for all the reasons. And this is definitely one that if you're rewatching and you're skipping things, this is not one to skip.
You gotta watch it.
Well said.
So good.
Super.
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 And on that super ending, it's time to end.
Thank you for remembering Smallville with us.
Join us next week when we have another double feature where
Pepper becomes Pepper.
Lana goes to the mattresses.
And Martha is in slow motion twice.
Like, comment, or subscribe. That way you never miss another episode. Watch Smallville with us every week.